Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is August 29th, 2020, and these are the top stories of today. Now before I get started, I will note that a couple of the projects that I'm about to talk about are actually rumors, so I will discuss why I decided to put them in here, because I believe that both are starting to build a case for them likely being real, and you'll find out why. First up is actually Monster Hunter in development, supposedly, for Nintendo Switch. This would be Capcom using the RE engine to develop a brand new entry in the Monster Hunter franchise. It would not be a port of World, it would not be a Generations title, it may not even necessarily be a numbered entry, but supposedly it's coming. Supposedly we'll hear about it in more detail in the coming weeks, whether that's via release on Twitter suddenly by Capcom, or in the supposed / hopeful Nintendo Direct that could be coming any day now, which we say literally any day that it might be coming any day, or at the Tokyo Game Show. But it's been building a case for itself, this rumor that is, for a while now. We're starting to hear more reports from more places, so it's all starting to look more likely that this is true. If so, it would be big. It truly makes a lot of sense for Capcom to do it. I mean, Monster Hunter is one of their biggest IPs. It's one of their best, most consistent high sellers. And that marriage of Monster Hunter being so successful and Nintendo Switch being the #1 platform right now in the market in terms of monthly sales is just a fantastic thing. You know, Nintendo Switch does have Monster Hunter in it via port. Wii U had Monster Hunter for that matter. Capcom's always been pretty good with Nintendo, dating back with Mega Man in the original Nintendo days, Super Nintendo getting Street Fighter and Final Fight, even Nintendo 64 with Resident Evil 2 and Mega Man Legends. It wasn't as much on that platform regarding support from Capcom, but they still didn't abandon Nintendo then. GameCube, of course, with Resident Evil Remake and Zero and Beautiful Joe and Resident Evil 4. And if you just look at it, no Nintendo platform has ever been void of Capcom. Capcom and Nintendo work well together, and this just looks like a win-win. So I want to see this thing in action. If it's indeed real, there could be a possibility that it's not, that this is fake. That's why I'm saying that it's a rumor, but I just think enough has been said by enough people, and things are starting to line up pretty well. I'm excited. I hope it's real. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's real? And if so, what do you want to see? Do you want to see something more akin to an old school Monster Hunter game in terms of feel with modern visuals, or something with a lot of the quality of life improvements that we got out of Monster Hunter World? I'd kind of like a little bit of both. I want the modern visuals, particularly to see how the RE engine fares on Nintendo Switch. I want some of those modern conveniences of World, and I want some of the old gameplay mechanics from the previous entries. We're going to find out soon, hopefully. So when this officially gets announced, if it does, let's say when though, I'll be talking about it, showing the trailer, whatever, right here on Video Game News with PGN. So until then, that's it on that topic for now. Next up is not a rumor, but actually something that I'm looking forward to. It's been known about for a while, and that is LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I first saw this game in person behind the scenes at E3 in 2019. So it's definitely been a while. It's been a, while in coming, in development for a few years. It's an ambitious title. This takes place throughout the entire Skywalker Saga of Star Wars films, numbered 1 through 9. I'm going to show you the latest trailer that dropped and give a little discussion afterwards about it. Let's check it out.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father. The
Force is unusually strong with him. That much is clear.
Twisted by the dark side, young Skywalker has become.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Looks good.
That boy is our last hope.
No, there is another.
I'm from the Resistance. Your sister Leia sent me. We need your help.
It's gonna be a big game.
The Force will be with you, always.
I thought she was gonna melt herself.
Him? The Falcon.
That was good. Who shot first? We may never know now.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
So be it, Jedi.
I'm glad they're taking their time with this. Look at that. Spring 2021. It's coming out on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One. This is a game that, if you're a LEGO fan and aren't that into Star Wars, it's probably still worth checking out, unless if you hate Star Wars, because the amount of value that you're going to get is a lot, right? It's a really good value. The gameplay per dollar ratio is going to be off the hook with this title, especially looking at how many characters it's going to have, how many worlds you're going to explore, how much story is crammed in there, the voice acting behind it, the music behind it. You know, like I said, unless if you really dislike Star Wars, if you like Lego, this is probably going to be a game worth checking out, I should say. Sorry, I got tongue twisted. Now, if you like Star Wars, I think this is definitely a given. Too early to really say because I haven't played the game myself in its final build because it's not out yet, but it looks like if you enjoy Star Wars, you'll probably enjoy this game. Once again, unless if you just hate Lego for some reason, you don't think it's your thing. It's not your thing. But for most people, if you like a little bit of one or like a little bit of the other or like both, well, then you're set if you like both. I think this looks like an awesome package. You know, we're still a few months out. We don't have a final release date or a final month, but take your time, make it good, you know, keep it nice and polished, and this is the one to get, I think, if you're going to get a Lego game. It's got to be this Star Wars Skywalker Saga. I'm just very pleased with the trailer. I thought it was funny. I'm looking forward to diving in, and yeah, that's something worth showing to you today, in my opinion. Next up, another rumor, and that is my old-time friend, Joanna Dark. Perfect Dark supposedly is being in development by the Initiative, and this has been talked about for quite a while behind the scenes, different reports, different rumors, and they all suggest something a little bit different. The thing that we're hearing the most often that pops up is that it's going to be a spy game. Third-person perspective spy game. Okay, we get that. And then where it starts to split is that it's still Joanna Dark, narrative-focused, takes place a couple of years after, 2025 or something like that. And then the other part says it's nothing to do with Joanna Dark and may not even be called Perfect Dark. It may exist in the world that was created 20 years ago back on Nintendo 64, but might be something more akin to the Datadyne Chronicles or Project Carrington Institute. I don't think that they would call it anything like that, but some of the rumors even suggest that it goes that far, that it doesn't even have Perfect Dark in the title, but happens to take place in their world. I don't know about that. I'm hoping, my personal hope is that, fine, let it be a third-person perspective spy espionage game. Give it a good, deep story. Have it take place, you're playing around in Chicago 2025, sequel to Perfect Dark, and have it be this beautiful experience. Bring some old voice actors back, have some old characters return, have a good emphasis on weapons and combat, have dual features like you did back in the original titles, and give me Joanna Dark, you know? She's a cool heroine. There aren't too many leading ladies in the video game industry. There are more now than there were 20 years ago, but it's still not something that you see every day. So give me Joanna Dark, make this some badass rated M, just awesome title, you know? This is what could be Microsoft's exclusive Metal Gear Solid. They could really make this big. You look at the MGS franchise, and that's kind of all over the place. It's on PlayStation, so it's on Nintendo, it's on Xbox. Perfect Dark, of course, we had the original on Nintendo 64 and on Game Boy Color, but nowadays it's just Microsoft's thing. So this is their time to shine, bring back the franchise, bring back some nostalgia for people by using the name Perfect Dark. Don't change the name, especially if you're going to use the same areas, the same mythos, right? That's what I'd like it to be. Now, that's what I'd like it to be based off of the rumors that are coming in, that we're likely getting a very different Perfect Dark, that it's going to be a third-person spy title. What I would really like, if we're going to pull it back a little more, but this doesn't look like it's likely anymore, is that I would like a brand new first-person shooter, tight corridor-based entry in the Perfect Dark series. It's probably not going to happen, but that's what I'd really like. Yes, Microsoft has Halo, but Halo is outer space, big green, grassy worlds, aliens, story involving multiple races and whatnot. And it's a very different feeling. It's a very different type of first-person game. We don't have a ton of first-person shooters that are in smaller areas with tighter gameplay. We do have stuff like Doom that exists, that satisfies a certain need for me. We do have stuff like Wolfenstein 2. Again, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in terms of gameplay and speed in a Perfect Dark. That would be my ideal. But I don't think that's going to happen. So hopefully some of it is real. Hopefully the initiative is developing it. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it today is because I'm hearing from more people, from more sources, that something is on the way and that we might see it in the not too distant future. Now, I certainly hope that not too distant future means this holiday season. You know, I don't think Microsoft would be holding out on it and be like, yep, surprise, this is one of our launch titles for the Xbox Series X. No, that'd be too wishful of thinking. But could a visual trailer, whether it's gameplay or even if it's just only story, be in the works that they launched that this holiday season? Like, hey, coming in 2021, we got a pretty cool treat for you guys. Check it out. Perfect Dark 2, whatever it's called. Or Perfect Dark After Dark. That was my original hope for the sequel that never really came back in the day. We did get Perfect Dark 0 for Xbox 360. A fair title. Good, not great, not stellar like the original Perfect Dark, but still fun, and did a little bit to help build up the franchise. But the franchise really is just 2 games deep, 3 if you count the Game Boy Color one. Now, we did see Joanna Dark come back, you know, on Xbox 360 and on Xbox One via the Rare Replay, which is cool with some touched up visuals of the N64 original, but nothing would beat a brand new entry in the series now, handled well. So Give it to me, Microsoft. Whether it's a first-person shooter, fulfilling my dreams, or a really cool exclusive new spy third-person perspective game that becomes your own Metal Gear Solid that people look forward to a new entry of every 4 years here on out. Let's do it. Let's see it. Let me know what you think. Are you a Perfect Dark fan? What do you think of my ideas? Do you think they should ditch Joanna, ditch PD as a title, or go with that and pull in some old lapsed fans that, oh yeah, I remember that Perfect Dark was awesome. Even if the game's, not a multi-million seller, it still would, I think, bring in a good amount of old school fans if you used her, if you used the title, a similar logo, etc. But yeah, let's talk more in the comments about it. And finally, actual news and not a rumor, and that's a cool report from Insomniac Games. They just did an interview in Weekly Famitsu confirming that Ratchet on PlayStation 5, Ratchet and Clank, the new title that we just looked at the other day, an updated gameplay trailer of, will have an option to play at 60 frames per second. Now the talk is that the 60 frames per second mode will be at a lower resolution than 4K, whether that's 1080p or 1440p. I think it'll look plenty crisp, and the game does look beautiful with a really nice big scope to it. So whatever resolution they end up going with 60 FPS mode, I think will be stunning. But to also offer a 4K mode running at 30 frames per second is smart, because some people will feel like, hey, I want to see the game even more crisp. I'm okay with it playing slightly less smooth as long as there's no hiccups. That's the main thing. And you satisfy the needs of both type of consumer. Now, personally for me, there's nothing wrong with 30 frames per second in the game as long as there are no drops. As long as it's a smooth, consistent experience, not constantly diving out of 30 and 25 and 30 and 25. I'm good. You lock a good game at 30 and keep it visually pleasing. I'll take 1080p, 30 frames per second, and then throw on HDR, throw in ray tracing, and give me the most powerful, best looking environments and 3D polygonal, high quality visual fidelity graphics. And that's the kind of gamer that I am. Sometimes I do like my first person shooters to be of a higher frame rate, and I do appreciate 4K gaming, but honestly, 1080p is high res enough. A consistent 30 is fine in my book without hiccups, like I said, and just the best visual fidelity is what I'm looking forward to, especially with these next gen titles, But that's finally the last bit of news for the day. I think it's cool. Props to Insomniac Games. They look like they're the leaders early on with this next gen race, because they're handling the Spider-Man Miles Morales game and this Ratchet and Clank title. And I'm sure they've got something in store for 2021 and beyond. So props to Insomniac. Fun day of news. Got a couple of rumors in there, a trailer, and a little bit of a extended confirmation from Insomniac on just what they plan to achieve with Ratchet. Thanks for watching. This is PGN signing out. As always, I appreciate the likes, comments, subscriptions, etc. If you want to talk later on in the channel about more, feel free to. I will respond to every comment. Thank you all again. Have a great rest of your day, and see you next time for more video game news with Paul Gale Network. Bye.